Emotional intelligence. Emotional expression and emotional regulation for intrinsic and extrinsic emotional satisfaction. Studying intelligence has been a significant area in research. Researchers have been defining intelligence from different dimensions such as the ability of humans to understand the world, to think and reason, to perform goal-oriented tasks, and to produce new products by utilizing different cognitive abilities. Intelligence is associated to both heredity and environment. Researchers have also tried to typify intelligence into different categories such as analytical intelligence, creative intelligence, practical intelligence, fluid intelligence, crystallized intelligence, linguistic intelligence, logical intelligence, spatial intelligence, musical intelligence, motor ability, interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, and naturalistic intelligence. Emotional intelligence is another type of intelligence that deals with the recognition, monitoring, and distinction of emotions for the appropriate application of thinking and performing behavior. In simple words, it is the ability to recognize and respond to emotions. Peter Salovey and John Mayer have been regarded as the first who operationally defined emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, according to them, is the ability to recognize, monitor, distinguish, and use one's own and other people's emotions as a source of information to direct one's thinking and actions. Emotional intelligence has been constructed differently by different theorists. Salovey and Mayer suggested that emotional intelligence can be categorized into three components, namely appraisal and expression of emotion, regulation of emotion, and utilization of emotions in solving problems. They also included cognitive components to emotional intelligence later. Goleman focused more on the social and communicational skills involved in emotional intelligence. Cooper and Sawaf proposed a model of emotional intelligence comprising of emotional literacy, emotional fitness, emotional depth, and emotional alchemy. Trait emotional intelligence theory categorized emotional intelligence into seeing, understanding, managing, and employing emotions. The measurement of emotional intelligence has also received plenty of criticism because it has been perceived differently as a construct. Several instruments have also been developed to measure the construct of emotional intelligence differently. The Toronto Alexithymia scale comprised 41 items and was intended to measure difficulties in identifying and describing feelings. The Bar on Emotional Quotient inventory comprised 133 items and had 15 sub-scales. The Perception of Affect scale was made of 93 items and intended to measure the perception of affect based on body, logic, and evaluation. Scut Self-Report Index was another effort based on Salovey and Mayer's model and comprised 33 items. Trait Emotional Intelligence Questionnaire comprises of 144 items and 15 factors. The Trait Meta-Mood Scale was an effort to measure feelings and mode through 48 items. Despite of the fact that the construct of emotional intelligence has been defined and analyzed differently, the literature still reveals a great interest of researchers in developing this construct further. Since the researchers acclaim that humans differ in their capacity to process emotions, studying emotional intelligence has been regarded an interesting area of research. Its importance is justified through its role in humans' judgments, decisions, priorities, and actions, as emotions play a vital part in our daily lives. Emotional intelligence has also been positively correlated with happiness and growth as well. Research by Dr. Sukoon was another effort to comprehend the construct of emotional intelligence and to come up with a brief scale to measure it. His research is based on 3 consecutive studies that were carried out one after another to validate the newly developed scale. Emotional intelligence was defined as an ability to express and regulate emotions for intrinsic and extrinsic emotional satisfaction. This comprehensive definition is based on a thorough review of the existing literature on emotional intelligence. The definition tries to simplify the construct of emotional intelligence by incorporating all the earlier theoretical frameworks in this regard. Study 1 of the series of 3 consecutive studies by Dr. Sukoon involved the development and initial validation of the scale through principal component analysis. The scale was further validated in Study 2 by applying exploratory factor analysis. Study 3 was about the confirmatory factor analysis along with establishing the convergent and discriminant validity of the scale. Based on the review of the earlier models of emotional intelligence was comprehended as an ability to express and regulate emotions for intrinsic and extrinsic emotional satisfaction. Emotional Intelligence Scale (ICE), comprising of 12 items in English, was developed and validated through principal component analysis, exploratory factor analysis, and confirmatory factor analysis through a series of 3 consecutive studies which involved 1894 participants. The validity of ICE was tested step by step for its phase, content, factorial, convergent, and discriminant validity. The reliability was measured through internal consistency and item total and item scale correlations. ICE revealed to be a valid and reliable scale to measure emotional intelligence through 4 core factors, namely emotional expression, emotional regulation, intrinsic emotional satisfaction, and extrinsic emotional satisfaction. The additional findings revealed significantly higher levels of emotional intelligence among men as compared to women, significantly positive correlation of emotional intelligence with social intelligence, positive emotional effects, age, and education, and a significantly inverse correlation between emotional intelligence and the negative emotional effects. The effort to summarize and simplify the construct of emotional intelligence resulted in a brief scale that was regarded to be the shortest ever scale to measure emotional intelligence in a theoretically and statistically validated way. Studying intelligence and its subtypes has been an interesting area for researchers. The construct of emotional intelligence has been a significant area of debate since 1990. Several theorists have come up with valuable ideas in this regard. However, the definitions and structure of emotional intelligence have not been agreed upon. After reviewing the significant earlier models of emotional intelligence such as the ability-based model of Mayer and Solovey 1997, the competent model of Goleman 1995, and the mixed model of Reuven-Bar 2000, Petrides and Furnham 2003, and Richard Boyatzis and Associates 2000, Dr. Sukoon focused at simplifying the construct of emotional intelligence and presenting a brief scale to measure it. Dr. Sukoon defined emotional intelligence as an ability to express and regulate emotions for intrinsic and extrinsic emotional satisfaction. This definition covers the 4 important sub-factors of emotional intelligence, namely emotional expression, emotional regulation, intrinsic emotional satisfaction, and extrinsic emotional satisfaction, that have also been previously regarded as significant contributors to emotional intelligence. The combination of these factors intends to unite the earlier models of emotional intelligence under a shared platform. Several earlier researchers have considered intrinsic emotional satisfaction as an important component for emotional intelligence and the goal of emotions. Likewise, the role of emotions has also been highly established in social adaptation. Several earlier researchers have correlated higher emotional intelligence with better social interactions. Managing the emotions of others, apart from managing one's own emotions, has also been considered important for emotional intelligence. Emotional aspects play a vital role in social interactions. Social inhibition, on the other hand, comprises of difficulty in talking to others, fear of being negatively evaluated, and social withdrawal. It stops a person to function appropriately in social settings and generates several emotional problems. The intrinsic and extrinsic emotional satisfaction, therefore, are the ultimate objective of emotional intelligence, which are achieved through the process of emotional expression and emotional regulation. Expressions are regarded mandatory for emotions and have established cathartic effects. Emotional suppression, on the other hand, reduces emotional experience. It has been regarded harmful for mental health and relational strengths. Emotional regulation is how a person can effectively manage his/her emotions. It is based on awareness, goals, and strategies. This can be conscious or unconscious. Several earlier researchers have considered emotional regulation as an important component for emotional intelligence. Identifying, perceiving, and understanding emotions have been regarded an essential part of emotional intelligence. The 4 factors presented by Dr. Sukoon, namely emotional expression, emotional regulation, intrinsic emotional satisfaction, and extrinsic emotional satisfaction, therefore, are all theoretically associated with the construct of emotional intelligence. The same theoretical association has been statistically verified by Dr. Sukoon. Inconsistent to the earlier studies, the current study also found significantly positive correlation between emotional and social intelligence. The additional findings of the current study reveal a significantly higher level of emotional intelligence in men as compared to women. The earlier studies reveal mixed results in this regard. These mixed results have been attributed to the variety of diversified scales used to assess emotional intelligence. Some studies report women having higher emotional intelligence. The emotionality of women can also be related to their moral values, which are higher than men. Studies also reveal no significant differences in emotional intelligence based on gender. Plenty of other studies, on the other hand, have reported men to be better when it comes to emotional regulation, managing impulses, and coping with stress. Research by Dr. Sukoon also revealed significantly positive correlations of emotional intelligence with age and education, which were in line with the earlier literature. Thanks for listening. To read the entire paper, kindly visit www.drsakoon.info.